Hello, world, and welcome to Code or Not to Code. I'm Mili Eva. I'm really happy to be here today, especially because it's been a while for me. I've taken a little bit of a summer break and traveled all over Europe, and now I'm back and ready to do some coding. Hopefully, I'm not too rusty, and hopefully you can all bear with me today, as always. But not to worry, because Stefan's here, and he'll definitely, dig me out of my grave if I end up there today. How are you doing,
And
Stefan?
I'm doing excellent. I'm glad you're back. I was really looking forward to getting, because last episode was a one code or not one to code. But I
Oh,
did get I did get fantastic help by our viewers, who were the ones who pulled me out of the dirt. So I
nice.
guess let's say, yeah, we all need
So,
help sometimes.
yes, some more
And
than others, but yeah.
speaking of the hellos, your salty devil, one of our regulars, thank you very much for joining yet again.
Hello. Cool. What's new in the tech world? Let's start with our news flash section of the show. Um, what have we got here?
So the .NET 5 preview has been released a couple of days. No, the .NET 8 preview 5 has been released a couple of days ago,
Cool.
which is now. So it's June. So we have July, August, September, October,
Quick
November. So in
maths.
5 more months, we have .NET 8 at our hands.
Woo!
And every month, every preview, we get a hand of some of the upcoming features already, to give them a try and potentially give feedback to the .NET team to make the .NET 8 release a wonderful, delicious one. And there's plenty of improvements, for example, in the metrics API, which is a bit of an open telemetry implementation. One that I really like is that source link is now part of the SDK. Source
Okay.
link enables debugging of libraries, so you can then debug into the library and have the original source code, which helps a lot.
Mm-hmm.
We're building a tool here, not a library, but we will be consuming libraries that hopefully have this enabled and make debugging for us beautiful experience. And speaking of analyzers and Rostlin, there's a bunch of new analyzers being added to .NET 8 that help writing performant and stable code.
Nice. Oh, only 5 months? Is that what you said?
5 months, yes, 5 months to go.
That's the year passes so quickly. But
Yeah, that's good, because then we get .NET 8 and C# 12, and I'm quite looking forward to it.
yes, and you forget one very important thing as well, the new updated advent calendar.
Ooh, yes, a new calendar. When will we start that? End of October-ish?
Yeah, kind of,
Or October, I guess,
probably.
2 months. Oh, October, yeah, okay. So, um, and we will be upgrading this then before December to .NET 8, actually.
Ooh, exciting. What
Uh,
else have you got for us?
and also in the .NET 8 lands, there's also an
Ah,
ASP.NET Core update available. And talking about debugging, what the team there did is made a lot of types more debugger friendly. There is a special attribute in .NET that you can add to a type to give that the debugger can interpret and then basically print to the as debug information. Or there was also if you overload the toString method that actually we did in some of our types, then you get more information than just the type. So what was the previous experience in .NET 8? A lot of
mm,
types only didn't have toString or the special debugger attribute in use. That means you basically just get the type name. But now, if you enable this information, you get on the first site more useful information without the need to expand those drop downs and dive deeper into the types. So this will help a lot. And there is a bunch of more improvements.
one or two more, yeah.
And also, well, we already announced this last time, but this is basically more of a follow-up and a bit of a promise that we wanted to take a look at the new C# Dev Kit extension for Visual Studio Code, which promises to give a better .NET C# development experience within Visual Studio, which comes a bit more in line with the full-fledged Visual Studio experience. So I would love to give this a try today.
Let's do it.
And I literally installed it an hour ago.
I
No,
literally
okay.
installed it
What?
30
One,
minutes ago.
one, 1.5 hours. You 30 minutes ago. Okay, excellent. So we have an accumulated experience of 2 hours with this new plugin.
Should be enough. Fine. I mean, come on. It's supposed to make life easier, so like it's supposed to be very straightforward. I'm sure we'll make it. Okay.
What I really like about the plugin is, or the extension is, that we now have a testing explorer, which shows of the failing tests that we wrote last time, which Eva, I'm afraid I left for you to fix now,
Fabulous.
if that is fair. However, you don't see that on your end, do you?
No, I don't see a
That's a
test
bit so
explorer.
so the so this
And I also
C
don't
sharp.
get, which is also really, really, really sad, is that I also don't get like prompts, like autocomplete situations,
Oh, okay.
which which it should be the other way around. I'm sure you would be fine without them. I swear, like my skill like halves when I don't have those autocomplete things.
Mine too.
Yeah.
If not quartering.
Okay.
Is that less? Yeah. No, I'm quite. This is, yeah. Otherwise, I would
Yeah.
always need to F12, because there is so much, you can't keep everything in mind. This is what auto completion and IntelliSense and AI coding assistants are for, to take care of the part that you of the remembering part, not of the crafting part, if that makes sense.
Yeah. But like that's obviously an edge case because like you don't always sort of collaborate in this way with other people. And I suppose like for you, it looks really nice, and I can kind of see it as well because I've got two screens, and I can
I
just
was wondering, maybe afterwards. You know what? Make myself a note for afterwards. If there is in the repository, if there is intent to integrate this new dev kit also into LiveShare, because I guess this is currently two different plugins. They don't know of each other. If they could work together, this would be quite amazing. So I'm looking. I can imagine that this is a feature request already. If it isn't, I'll make sure to open it up. Let me VS Code LiveShare plus dev kit.
nice.
Because this would be quite an amazing remote pair programming experience.
Yeah. Only 2
Currently.
hours with the plugin, and we already have improvement suggestions. Good start. How many
And
will we have by the end of the episode?
there's also something dramatically red. I think this is, yeah, because we do have a
Okay.
classic. We do have a classic. In the tests, we have two
Mm.
projects under tests, and also created a netfx, which is like the classic, the classic before .NET Core era CS project format, and this is not supported. So the only thing that is supported is the more SDK style projects, which look like this. They start with project SDK equals, and they are way terser, if that is the correct English word, than the classic .NET framework experience, where, for example, you have to explicitly add all of the C#. Oh no, that's the references. You have to. Oh, I haven't added any files yet, but well, okay, I added two C# files. You have to explicitly add all the C# files as compile items, where
Okay.
in the newer SDK style, this is implicit.
Mm.
So every C# file within this compilation per default gets compiled. Now you have to do the opposite. You have to opt out, because
Nice.
per default, if I add a new file, I want to have this compiled. So that's a more
Fair enough. Yeah.
sensible default, I guess. Yeah, more. And to have a terser CS project file, which is actually now a joy to edit manually. The older classic one is, I never really dared to add them manually because I don't really understand half of it, I'm afraid. MS Build is quite a beast.
Fair enough.
And I guess this is already all the complainings, isn't it?
Well, we haven't even started with all the complainings.
Okay,
Don't
okay.
worry.
I
There will be no.
guess I'm setting the wrong expectation. So now what I really want us to do, okay, well, I run them already, but using the new Test Explorer. I love Test Explorer because in the last episode we won a lot of tests for the new globalizer tool, because we do have the using counter. That one is ready to go, but they're using globalizer that then moves local using directives to a single global one within the project. We have not completed that yet, still quite in progress. So we added last session a lot of tests to complete the story,
Mm.
and I guess it's now time to fix them. Also, I added one more test in a previous that was off stream. Let me briefly check if I go to the GitHub desktop tool, added some more tests for auto-generated code because
Mm.
for this, I tried more tests with the tooling that is available from Microsoft and from Microsoft available analyzers, and I tested with some file case sensitivity. So, for example, if we have what we had previously is the temporary generated file, and if we write this all lowercase, then it's still recognized as a generated file. So this is sort of document name, those special recognized document names that are generated, such as .g.cs. We see here the G can also be uppercase, so those are case insensitive, where the comments are actually case sensitive. So we have, can I expand it here to see that? Yes. So
Yes.
if we have like an auto-generated comment, and there is also a version where there is a dash in between, then this is recognized as an auto-generated file, true here. But if it's not all lowercase, for example, if we capitalize it like so, or have it capitalized like so, or basically have any uppercase letter in there, then it is not recognized as an auto-generated file. So
Mm.
these need to be case sensitive. And I believe this is where some of our tests are now failing. So let's jump into the test. How does this look like in the dev kit experience? We actually get some inline warning here. Okay, we expected true, but got false. So we expected it to be generated, but it's actually not. So this is the generated file name. So let's jump into that code. And I believe it's now your turn. So
Yay!
we expect it to be case insensitive, but it is case sensitive. What can we do here?
Okay, let me just see. Okay, these are all the file names. We want them to be
So we
insensitive.
so we
No.
check that does the document, well, it's a file name, but not necessarily a file name.
Okay.
That's technically the document. It can be a file, but it doesn't have to be a physical file. Either if it starts with temporary generated file, where the casing shouldn't matter, or if it ends with .designer.cs or .generated.cs or .g.cs or .gi.cs, where I always forget what was the I for
Ah,
initialize component.
yeah, something like that. Nice. Good job for remembering. Yeah, I will remember for next time. Okay, good. Okay,
I'm
I
really
think
proud of myself.
yeah, well done. um,
I
so small wins. It's nice. It's all about the little things. Okay, okay, perfect. I think so. I remember that actually when we didn't we also have this sort of discussion when we sort of added this ordinal because you talked about sort of like the different things that we could add, and then we chose ordinal because it's sort of like the
because I think it's the default, and
yeah,
I prefer explicitness over implicitness. And I think, okay, we
sure.
don't see the implementation here, but if we go to the wonderful source.net,
Yes.
it's my favorite site name. It's source.net, source browser. And if we go to string.ends with, for example, with a string. Oh, no. So the default, the default is actually current culture. So it's culture sensitive. Well, I guess
Okay, so we actually
with
didn't use the default. That's
we
also
didn't use the
interesting though.
default because, for example, in current culture, if we're in Germany, or in German,
Ah,
not Germany necessarily, but with a German culture, I'm not entirely sure. I may make a mistake here, but I think that, for example, the word Straße, which is street, I think if I rewrite it via so or via a double S, I think the upper one is the current correct after the Duden, uh, um, not
correct
pronunciation,
spelling.
spelling. Thank you. But I think Straße is also that was like not the old one, but the one that we had in the middle. We changed our spelling and then we changed it back again. There was some weird wasn't it?
Sounds about
Some
right.
time ago. And I think
Sure.
if we are in the
Yeah.
German, I think in the German culture, then I think those are considered equal. I'm not entirely sure,
Ah,
but I think so. Well, and on a file system level or the document level, they are definitely different. And this is why we
fair enough.
chose the ordinal one, where the ordinal one is basically really checking the code of each character, where a sharp as S is definitely something different than two regular S letters. So yeah, we wanted to avoid the
Yeah.
so it was actually not about explicitness, it was about correctness. Yeah.
Nice. Also, very good reason. But there were a
And
couple of other options. Oh, hello.
hold on a second. Timo is here. Woohoo! Thanks for joining.
Woo!
Is this a recent change? I thought all string comparisons are ordinal by default. I thought the string comparisons. I think if you do equals, I think if you do equality, well, I'm not entirely sure now, but I think if it's about equality, then equality by default, if we do string equals equals, I think that one is ordinal. If we go into then into the implementation, that's then equals helper, and I think this looks very span helper sequence equal. This looks very raw. This looks very ordinal. So I think on equals one, the default is ordinal, but on the ends with starts with kind of a pattern. I think also let's have a look at starts with. Starts with. Those are current culture per default, if I'm not mistaken. So starts with is, oh no, that's the char. Okay, that's different. We need to check the string. That's also current culture. Yeah, I think there's a bit of a potential confusion and pitfall in .NET that not all. Well, the equality is ordinal, but other helper methods, when it comes to string inspection, they are culture aware per default. Was this? I think this was always no. There was some change around that at some point in time, but I totally forgot when and what. I'm afraid there is.
But you
Yeah,
know something changed. Good.
and I think no, I'm not entirely sure.
Okay, fair enough. But
So we didn't want to. Sorry, I was interrupting you. Do you recall? I think you were to mention some auto completions. If we pick that thought back up.
yeah. So I remember when we were talking about the ordinal stuff, that there was also something ordinal, and you could sort of have like case sensitive or insensitive, right? Isn't that
Does the
right?
does, does the auto completion on your end work if we hit
No.
Control Shift or
Yes,
Control Space?
I see something.
Okay, that's
Ordinal.
cool.
This is exciting. Yeah, ordinal ignore case. There you go.
Well,
And
we can also have
can
a look at this enum. So the
mhm,
default or the zero value is current culture. Then there is a current culture ignore case. We have where current culture is actually system relevant. So if we are running this, I think on my end I have set the culture to US American English per default. In Austria, I would have
okay.
set it by the vendor to Austria Germany, to German Austria culture. So it's depending on the current culture where this process is it process or thread. I always forget that where the current process or thread is running in, and which is sometimes a potential source of problems. So because if we run it on a different machine, maybe the
Mm,
machine, maybe on the CI system, has a totally different culture, and then potentially the behavior is
yeah.
different. And I think this is what I meant earlier with explicitness, to especially when it comes to string, because some string methods are per default culture aware, some are not. I really like explicitness there to state the intent clearly. And we can also set the invariant culture, which is um, culture sensitive, but the invariant culture is always the same. I think I'm not sure if this is a sort of a special culture or if it's basically US American English per default. I'm not entirely sure. But the invariant culture is always the same. It's independent of the current system settings. And then we have ordinal, which is culture agnostic. This is a
Nice.
raw byte level technical comparison.
And this ordinal ignore case is number 5. So could I also just go string comparison dot 5? Is that, can I use it like that?
No, you can't do that because 5 is not really a named constant. An enum per default, if it doesn't say anything here, we just say enum. Per
Yeah.
default, what that means is basically if I were to write colon int, and via that colon int, it looks like inheritance. Because
Ah,
basically an enum is more or less an integral value, for example, per default an integer that is at the language level syntactic sugar. So you can actually give some magic numbers. For example, I could have 1, 2, 3, but to give those magic numbers a name. So that's you could have any. Well, I can't have float. I can't have any decimal or floating point numbers, but I can have full integral values. I could have long. I could have byte. Byte goes from 0 to 255. So any of these. Per default, it's an integer.
okay.
So what you could do, though, cast this integer into an enum. So what you could write is basically write a 5, so the integer 5, and then cast that into the string comparison enum. And this would
Nice.
be equivalent behavior.
Cool.
Not a
Okay.
little bit of a potential pitfall is you could also use values that are out of bound is the wrong word, because it's under the hood when it gets compiled and when the code gets run, it's actually an integer. So I could write string comparison 9. However, 9 is not represented in this as a named constant. So if I'm using the named context syntax, I can't refer to 9. 9 doesn't exist. Well, it's not correct because it's an integer and it does exist. And this is why pretty much all of the enum methods somewhere have a check. So if we go into the source.net and we have a look at then the method, I eventually somewhere is a check. So here is a switch, and it basically checks, hey, is it one of these, or is it one of these? Is it ordinal, or is it ordinal case? And if it's not, so if we match the default, if it's any number smaller than 0, so anything negative, or any number higher than 5, we would get an argument exception saying that basically this enum value of 6 is not supported. So you should always, because technically an enum could, the user could pass in, it's syntactically correct, could pass in an enum value that is not representable by the constants that you have mentioned. So you should always validate and throw an argument exception and say, okay, I don't know this constant. This is not a constant that I've defined. It's some value out of range. Please read the documentation. Give me something valuable, correct.
Okay. Fair enough.
But isn't well. So this is, so if we do a 5, this is now the behavior that we want, but it's not.
But it's not
The
very
most.
readable.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get rid of that. Get rid of
And
that and write.
Herr Goran says, hello, friends.
Hello.
Thank you very much,
Nice to see you.
Herr Goran, for joining.
I have another question. Do you remember the multiple cursor that's not on the same line? What was the shortcut?
No, I don't.
How do I do it?
We tweeted about it, haven't we?
It's
I need to go.
maybe this is a good time to mention. If you want to keep up with our
Totally
content, follow us on Twitter.
Yeah, that's excellent. This was not planned at all. Haven't we? There it is. So we
nice.
can do just hold down Alt and click away.
Nice. Does that work? Oh, it works. Oh my God, we said the truth. Nice. Yes. Yes. And then I just write ignore guys. Done. Easy peasy, lemon
Fantastic.
squeezy.
I guess the next move is to run the tests and see them become green. I think. Yes.
Nice.
All is green. Wonderful.
I've one more question or comment. because in the same file, just a little bit below, we don't have any
Mm-hmm.
ordinals or ignore case situations. And you said you
Mm-hmm.
wanted to have it like explicitly. Should we add stuff there as well? Or
I would I would like that, but let's see what actual
are we happy
default
with
is.
it?
I'm currently not sure. So this is now on string. So this is string contains. I'm not certain what is the default here. String.contains. So if we pass in a string per default, yeah, this looks like span helper index of. So this looks very, very raw. So it appears that the default is ordinal, but not ordinal ignore case. So
But
it
we don't
appears
want
that
that.
the default is exactly what we want.
Okay,
Because
perfect.
this is the comment. This is the auto the comment, and we saw that this actually is case sensitive. If we capitalize any of these letters,
Yeah.
then the default Rosslyn analyzers will now flag issues or diagnostics in those documents. So these are actually case sensitive. So we want the ordinal behavior is the one that we want. I guess it's now a question: do we want to explicitly state it or not? I would argue, but no, yeah. What would you argue? Or what would the viewers argue here?
Yes, I think
Explicitness
that's a better
or
question. We've got three, so three people have already written into the chat. So if all of you say, your preference, then we definitely have, because it's three people and we have three answers, two
this
possibilities.
would
We
be a
have
deal
like,
breaker. Not a deal breaker, a tiebreaker. Yeah.
yeah, so go for it.
So I guess the alternative is implicit or explicit to state the string ordinal comparison.
Yeah. Dum dum dum. Elevator music.
Perhaps we leave it like so, and if we get answers and opinions later on, then we will come back to this document
Okay,
and choose one side.
cool.
But let's check if this is indeed what is expected, and all tests stay green.
Ooh, also good test.
And yes, they do.
Yes, easy peasy. Cool.
But there is a
What?
couple of using globalizer tests that we wrote in the last session
Mm-hmm.
that we left for you now to fix.
Very nice. Great.
There is some feedback. There is some feedback. So I need to practice my patience. Use explicit over implicit. Yet this is a .NET convention, so here I would go with the implicit. Okay.
Nice.
Also, you can do a poll on Twitch chat if you remember that correctly. Can I do a poll? There is a Twitch poll. Okay. Can I do? I think there is some. I never did a live poll.
I mean, I can do retro life poll like and just write it down.
I was wondering if there is some tools. I'm quite unfamiliar with the Twitch tooling. Maybe I need a plugin for that. Perhaps I do. And maybe
Okay.
there's a okay. Well, this is a to do for me for the next session. Look for. I have a déjà vu, haven't I? Haven't I made myself a to do and just totally ignored it now? Okay. Look for
Those are the best ones.
YouTube and Twitch live poll
Oh,
plugins. That's a great idea, Timo. Thank you very much.
yeah.
But so Timo now in this case prefers, well, in general, explicit over explicit, but in this very case, it seems that contains goes along with the string with the string starts with and ends with, which are ordinal per default. So convention styled without being explicit because it's correct per default. And okay, here we go.
Cool. Nice. All right. And what are the red tests?
The tests, yeah. I guess let's start at the super top. No,
yes.
This is the. Actually, what I didn't show from the plugin. So what we previously had in VS Code is always the folder view, but what we now get with the C# DevKit extension, we get a solution explorer, which now gives a very Visual Studio-like experience. and from where we can select projects and build them and clean them and such, and also launch debugging sessions. So if we jump to our tests and go to the using directive tests, we have here our globalizer tests, which are, ooh, I like that. There is also inline hints whether the tests pass. So we have a passing one. So if we have empty, we don't replace anything, just have an empty project. There is nothing to replace, but it doesn't crash. If we say replace system, but there is no system, then we don't replace anything. So if we don't do anything, we are correct. But if we do something...
Sorry, could you just remove the comment? Because just now I don't think we saw all of the screen.
Yes. Good call. Good call. There's a new one.
Oh, hello.
The nesting is way too deep for me. And yes. Okay, I shouldn't have showed that. Well, I cut it out. That was a trap, and I sprung it gloriously.
Nice.
So here is now we do have a system local using directive, and we do say, okay, globalize it. We are the system. So this should go away from this initial document, which is the first document, but we then have a new document, which has this global using, and it should be, we then create a result. This is also what we did last time. We created then an entire new type, a result type, the using globalization result, which creates which returns the project, a using directive that we actually, then maybe may or may not have globalized, and also the target document where we may globalize those usings into. And in the test, we specify, okay, I want to globalize system, which means I should now have this system one time replaced in the default document name. Where the default document name, this is also a poll that we last time did. We actually, do we still have to tweet the page open? Yeah, we wanted to know which one you prefer, either usings.cs, global usings.cs, or both variants within a properties folder. And we did this on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Mastodon. And the majority actually selected then this one, the global usings without any subdirectory. So this is where it then should end up, just in a document called global usings.cs per default. Later on, we want to add a feature where you can explicitly state it if you want to have somewhere else. But if not explicitly stated, this should be the default. But this test is failing because, I hope it jumps to the right one. And can I say test result? Because it says that we expected global usings.cs, but actually had properties global usings.cs, because this is the thing that we 2 episodes ago did per default. So we need to jump into the implementation and fix that.
Okay, so we just have to get rid of that.
Perhaps just a very brief rundown of the method that we have.
Yes,
so
please.
We get a hold of the solution, because we need the solution later on. We will come to that. We go then through each document of the project.
Yes.
We will get the syntax root, if we recall, when we go to the delicious. That's my second favorite site that I use. Do I use it every day? If not, I use it every other day. If we have a look at the syntax tree here, we say this is the compilation unit, or the syntax root, which is the root of the syntax tree of a document, and from which then we have nodes and tokens and trivias and so on. And so we get a hold of this root. We know, because it is the root of the document. We know it's a compilation unit syntax, so we cast it to them. Then we call our method, where we get a hold of some options for some formatting. We will come to that. We then iterate all the usings of these compilation units those are all the top level usings, not any nested usings within namespaces. Those are all usings outside of namespace declarations. Then we see, is this using indeed the one, so the name of the using, indeed the one that we want to replace? And if it is, we will remove this node, this using node, from that document. But Roslyn is all immutable, so we need now to apply this change on a solution level. We say, hey, please, on this solution level, grab this document and replace this root. So we say with document syntax root on this document with a new root. But since it's immutable, we now get an entirely new solution. So this is where we get a hold of the solution earlier. And then we, via the C# syntax factory, there is also a site that we checked out 2 episodes ago. I think it was the Roslyn quota, which basically does the inverse. It gives us the C# code needed in order to create that C# code. So if we say global using system, and we then get the code that we need in order to basically create this tree via the so-called syntax factory. That's this Microsoft.codeanalysis.c#.syntax factory type. And we are using that. If we jump into test methods, we are now using that. So we create a compilation unit with a using list, which eventually now then gets this using name and creates all of this. This is where we give in the options so that how we then format this tree to a C# code has the same style as the CS project basically has set to. And we also set the global keyword because it should be a global using and so on. And at the end, we set a semicolon. So we really create now this node. And then we have this new node with which we then create a new document, which will be the global using document that we create in this directory.
And we don't want to do that anymore. We want to get rid of that. Nice.
Exactly.
Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to delete stuff and you just shout if I go too far.
Sounds excellent.
All right. Okay, that looks good. That looks like a good place to start. And then I just do it like this.
Perfect.
Yes.
Let's take a look at this method actually. So what we now removed is the IEnumerable of folders. So we can pass in an array or some collection of folders in which this document, or in our case, because we are physical, the file should be generated. And this should now be gone. So if we go to the test and if we run this very test, there is a high chance it just turns green. And it does.
Yes. Nice.
And on to the next one.
Okay, what have we got here?
If this is, this is okay. This is where it's actually crashing in our assertion method. We need to go here. Okay, so this one is fixed. So the next one is local using directive replaced with global using. So we have one local using directive.
Yeah.
And then we expect this. Maybe I should run it first because this looks like it should pass already. It does. You know what? I just run all the tests. Then we jump to the next one that is failing. So that one is passing. Here we now have a failing one.
Okay.
So we have a couple of using directives.
Okay.
And we replace one of these. So we want to replace system corrections of generic. And the problem is that running the test. I hope this not jump. Did it not run the test? This is also passing. Interesting. I guess I ran the wrong. Did I run the wrong tests? I think I did. Okay, now all the tests are. I just run all of the tests. Then I think I made a mistake there. Okay, now we should have a. Yes, good list. So in here, Yeah, now we have a failing test. So what is the problem? We expected 3 documents, but actually got 4 documents. So what seems to be the problem is, I guess it's this one, isn't it? Let me see. That's the test. So that's the multiple documents test. Multiple documents. Okay, so this test, we have actually 3 documents, 1, 2, and 3, from which we want to replace system.collections.generic. So what we expect is this one to disappear, this one to disappear, and this one to disappear. So we then have our expected project where all the system, those are gone here, and they're all now moved into a new document, the global usings system.collections.generic. But we actually create 4 documents. So we have at the end 4 documents, but we only expected 3 documents. And this looks to be related to the thing that we have our for loop here for all the usings. And every time we find a using to replace, we create we add a new document. Where the logic now should be, if this global using document already exists, we don't want to create it anew, but actually append to this document at the end.
Okay, so this sounds a little bit more complicated, but no, not to worry. Fine. So I didn't actually see that in the test that there was already a global usings document there.
In the test, let's take no. It's not. No, it's not there yet. It's actually not there yet. So we have 1, 2.
We have 3.
We have 3 documents. But the problem is,
why does it get 4? Yeah, I didn't get it.
Actually, it should be 5. But maybe I was inspecting the wrong test.
I get it. Okay,
Maybe I
so
was
yes,
expecting the
we're
wrong
not putting them
test.
in the same file. We're creating 2 new files, and they
We
each
create-
have like.
Yes, so we can, because we actually, for the first one that we replace here,
Yeah.
we create
Yes.
this file or this document, because in the unit test we are on in memory only, so it's not a physical file, it's only a document. Then we do it anew, so we create a second one, and then we do it again, so we create a third one, where we actually then end up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, with 6 documents. I think I was clicking the wrong test. So we expect 4 documents, the original 3 plus the new one.
Yeah.
But what we got is actually 6, because we create this 2 times too many. The first creation already suffices.
Fair enough.
And this is the fix that we need to take. If this document already exists,
Okay.
don't create a new one, but append to the previous one.
Okay, so does that just mean there's another if check before this line? Yes.
Almost, I think, because what we do here is we create a directive root. So what we actually do is we create a new compilation unit. But we don't need a new compilation unit for that. We actually just need a new using node. So what we, I guess, in the meantime, I'll look up the how we create this node. So let's assume that we have a new method that we will call, I'll just copy the first method and then say, okay, not root, but global using directive node, maybe, or just without the root. And let's assume this one does what it should do currently. Well, let's throw a now not implemented exception, because this is what we come up with just in a minute. I get, is this clashing? This call is ambiguous. Then I call this node to, because this is now, this global using directive is actually coming from the C# syntax factory, because we do have a static using here of the C# syntax factory. So I just suffix this with, which already has the method global using directive. So suffix this with node to avoid this ambiguity. So let's assume we have the global using directive node to create a new node without any root that we can add to the additional document. And I will look up how to do this in Waslin on the side.
On the side. And meanwhile, I do elevator music. No. So
No,
I
no, no, no.
suppose
You implemented
the
it.
good. Fabulous. No, so I suppose there needs to be an if there somewhere. And since you said almost in my line, I'm just gonna do it the line before then. And if I'm wrong, you can tell me later. That doesn't sound good. You don't look happy.
No, no,
Oh
no,
no.
no. I don't. No, no, no. Go on, go on, go on, go on, go on.
Oh no. Okay. Now I'm scared.
No, there's nothing to
If
be worried. We have tests that guard us, and we have source control that guard us. Perfectly fine.
okay. So what if the document already exists? How do I get to the document though? Is it
It's a fine question. I would have a look if the project yields that somehow, because what we do up there is we iterate through all the documents. So there is
yeah.
project.documents.
Okay, but that's
So we could, and this is an INU of multiple documents. So we could get a hold of that one that has this special name or path or something. We do have the project already
so
in
you
scope.
want so sorry, do you think we should have another for each loop and loop again through the documents? Or are you saying I should just go
Yes, we could do that, but I
there's
would
already a
use
document here.
I would use link for that. If you have you used link before? The language integrated query static method extensions.
Yes,
Now this
but
sounds fancy.
no. I
But I
don't
guess
feel confident.
auto-completion can definitely help us. And the if was perfect. We
Okay.
definitely need the if
If was
text.
perfect.
We need some branching. We need some code branching, some decision if we go the already existing path or the create new path.
Okay.
And yeah, so what I mean, you mentioned auto-completion. I wouldn't also be able to write this without any auto-completion, to be frank.
Yeah.
So what I would do is get the project. As the project folder documents.
Documents. See?
And then hit the dot and see what auto-completion is in store for us.
Fabulous.
And there we see all these extension methods. So we can say we could count, we could first or default. There is also a single and single or default. And also a last or default. Those are similar. Well, the first and last basically get the first element or the last element where a Boolean expression that we set matches. So basically something returning true. And the single is similar, but if there is more than one, it will actually throw an exception. Where first really only searches the first one, and then Earl is out. So we could now have two paths. We could say we try to find single, and if single crashes, basically, then this would say we have two global using documents, which is technically possible. In our unit test, we can recreate this. Physically not, because you can't have the same file name twice on the system. This would be ambiguous. So we could actually have a unit test around that if we want to have that behavior to basically throw an error and say, or don't, basically throw an error and say, hey, we have two global usings. We don't know which one to pick. We error out. Or we say, we just take the first one that we find or the last one that we find. So basically, it's very unlikely that in a real project we have twice. So it's more of a theoretical thing. But still, I guess it applies, default at least. Or we take the first or the last one and then basically ignore every others.
Okay. I have a
tissue.
Oh my god. Okay. Wow, this is exciting. Loan
because
airtime.
my eyes
Oh,
start
it's fun.
tearing. Go ahead. Go ahead.
It's my coding isn't that bad.
No,
Okay.
no.
He's already started crying. That I won't ask that question that I was
No,
about to ask. No, I
I'm
will.
awake. I'm awake since 5 today. 4:30 even. I think that's the thing.
What? Why?
Uh, I did some traveling today.
Ah, okay. Um, cool. Okay, I have a question. I mean, that's the thing. I'm a coding noob, and I would just say if this project we get to the documents, we can probably figure out the name, and if the name equals whatever our generated name is,
Mhm.
then uh, don't create a new document. And
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure why we shouldn't do that.
Yeah. Okay. I, I maybe so that thought that's precise. This is exactly what we need. But the thing is now in detail and technical implementation, there is no different semantics of how do we determine if we find this file. Well, I guess we could let's ignore the case. Let's assume that if there is one file, then no, let's assume there is either none or one. There can never be more than one,
Yeah.
which is on a physical file system. Now, if we could write a unit test that basically this proves that. But on a physical file system that our project will be used on is, I don't think it can happen. I don't think, because same file name, no, it doesn't work. We can assume that. So in that case, let's use first or default,
Nice.
where we either get the first one that we find, which
Mm-hmm.
would also be the only one that we find, assuming there's only one. And it would return default. In our case, it's a project. Project is a class, so it would return null if none is found. And this could now be our switch on, is there one or is there none?
Okay. Um,
So this is first or default, yes. And then do you know the syntax of how to write an anonymous function or a lambda? Because what we now can pass here, we can pass on the first or default, we
yeah.
can pass a func. And this
Yes.
func has as an input the T source, in our case, it's the project.
Yeah.
And it returns a Boolean. So we need some check, exactly what you mentioned, the check for this name. So it returns true or false. And do you know how to write that?
No, but we'll figure it out. Okay, so okay, wait. So do we need these brackets here as well then? And
Not
just for
necessarily,
project?
but we can for completion. Those are
Project.
optional because they can be inferred by the compiler.
Okay.
Infer. I'm not sure about
And
pronunciation.
we need a func, right? But you don't look happy. This is not good.
Yeah. Well, yes. We could use the super various syntax, but there is there's a shorthand for that. Basically,
Yeah.
what we do get is one variable as an input. So we just give in a
Okay.
name for this variable. So we could write P for project, or we just write project.
Yeah. And then the thingy.
Yes, but not.
No.
It's not a single. It's not a dash.
It's a
Smaller, less than, but it's an equal less than sign. It's an arrow, a double.
nice.
I think some people call it a fat arrow. Where I guess the other
Nice.
one would be a slim arrow.
Ah,
Arrow.
was that autocomplete? Because I did just P.
I guess so. I don't see anything.
But didn't we have just P? P for project? No? And then, is that wrong? What happened? Oh, you're looking at something
Can you
else.
hit tab? Because I don't see that. Can you hit tab or something to make to
No, I don't see
materialize it?
anything.
Okay.
I just, yeah, it just said project here.
Oh, actually, sorry, my
But
bad.
you just said P. So.
It's actually document. My bad. It's document. We iterate documents, not projects.
Okay.
My bad.
So, oops. So is that, oh no. Is that also D for document then? And then we can go document dot name
Yeah, does this exist?
document name should be something.
Should be something, yeah. And I think I've already put this name into a constant here, so we can reuse this constant, the default target document. I'll copy that and then just paste it in where you need it.
Okay, but do we have this? We don't have? Wait, do we just haven't? Do we just compare it like this? Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll just paste that one in. And no, I didn't. Okay, I think I messed something up. Nope. There we go. Okay. And now we check if this is, why is this not? Cannot implicitly convert document to bool.
What?
This fills my heart with sadness.
And despair.
Because name is a string, and string has an equals method. And what we saw, the default of equality is ordinal, case sensitive. So this is what we want. So what are we doing? Yes, okay, document. We're using D here, so we need to refer. I will also write document here. And in order to, because we already have document here, and we now basically have a name clash. So what we can do, we can make this a static lambda to avoid any capturing. Well, we could name it just D, but if we want to have full name, we can say document and now disambiguate. And this now, okay, so this now is actually, what this now returns is a document.
Yes.
But the problem is the if requires a Boolean. First, the default now returns an actual document if for the first one that this Boolean expression returns true. And if there is none, it will return default. And since document, if we jump into it, is a class, it will return null because that's the default value for classes, for reference values. So we can do now basically checking if it is null or we check if it's not null, meaning we found it or we haven't.
And can I just go is like this? Not? No, I cannot do this.
Exactly.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
That's C#9, I believe.
Easy peasy, lemon squeezy.
So
okay, if it's not null, that means there's something there. That means we already have the document. That means we don't want to create a new one.
Exactly.
Okay.
Timo knows the answer. I totally forgot about any. So there's also an. Oh yes. That's so much better. That is so much. I totally forgot about this. So because first we can. Oh yes. So the discussion that I started was totally pointless.
Nice.
Because we don't really need the document. Well, we actually. We could. Because what we could do is say any, and then we don't need the null check at the end.
Nice.
So we basically find does this apply to anything?
Yeah.
But we still actually need to get a hold of this document that we need to add to. So I think to in this case we actually need the first or default or some of these to actually get a hold of this document that we can then extend on. Yes.
Okay. Then.
And now we'll apply because this is a bit of an advanced. Is it advanced? I don't know, but a bit of a different feature. So what we can also write instead of is not null, we can basically write something like this. If it is, open and closing bracket, which is basically also just a null check. But what this now enables is we can give that a name. So we could now have global using. And now we can use within this if block, we can now use the global using local variable as the document that we found. So this is what we see now. This is a document. So this is now the document. This is now the global using document if we have found it.
Oh, so I can go global using
Exactly.
dot
And
dot
is there something like, I think
add?
now comes the
No,
now
append.
comes the Roslyn part. So I think this is now the part where I take over. So now we need to
Okay.
find out if we can get a hold of the usings of this document, because what we now need to do is to. I'm jumping now to the Roslyn quota. So let's say we have this document already, and we want to add a new using to it. And I think, okay, it appears that we need to get a hold of the compilation unit. And then we can say, or the root, and then we can say with usings. And then we can potentially add, we need to add an additional using.
Nice.
So we need to get a hold of the syntax. So we get the syntax root async. So we need to await that. That means we have the global using. We have a var root here. And I'm hoping that this has some with usings. It does not, because I guess maybe we need to really cast this to a compilation unit. Compilation unit. Compilation unit syntax, yes. And this could be null. I doubt that. Let's assume this is not null. When I make assumptions, I like to use a debug assert to basically say, okay, I expect this not to be null. Maybe we can write a test that disproves that, but for now, let's assume that, because if you find a document, it should have a root. Especially if we assume we're on a file system and it is a physical file, then even if it's empty, it should have a root. I'm quite certain. And now on this unit, maybe we can say with usings. Yes, we can. But I think this would also replace the usings, wouldn't it? So I guess we need to get the original usings from the compilation unit, and now add to this list. There is an add method, because usings, what is usings? Usings is a syntax list. So we should be able to add to this syntax list. So I say add, and in here now we pass in a new node. And this is now where the other method that we intended comes into play, where I think I will just get a, back to the Roslyn quota. How does this look? We need to create a using directive. I guess this will be, I already made this method public. So I think, okay, it seems that I prepared something for future me that I totally forgot. So I guess thank you, past Steph. Usually they don't like each other. Usually they don't like each other. It's very rare that
they work together. Nice. Happy
must be
little
the first
treat.
time.
Yeah. This is a premiere, ladies and gentlemen.
And so I should be able to just say C# syntax factory dot global using directive, and we give that the name. Our name is the global using that we pass in here, the local using, of course, and also the options for some formatting that we have extracted here. Okay, which now should have us a new usings. So this will be our new usings. And we now say, okay, this editing, either I'm doing something wrong or it's not, something is weird. So we now add a new using to this list of usings, which we now replace. So we replace the old list of usings with new list of usings. So this is what we have to do, because Roslyn Olaf is immutable. So we get something new every time. So what, do you see that? It's always replacing my stuff. Okay. So this will be unit with usings, and this will returns now a new compilation syntax. So this will be the new root. And will we have a new root? let's call this new global using root. Okay, and now we need to replace that node, this new node in this document. So we now go ahead and we already have the document, right? We have the global using document, and we say with syntax root. Now we replace the syntax root, which gives us a new document. Hide this immutability. New global using document. And now we need to replace the document on the solution. So we say solution equals to solution dot with there is an overload for that. With document syntax root. Okay, this is the one that we want, not the one that we did above here. Well, I did because I don't know. With document syntax root, and I realized we just do this already. So we pass in the ID of the document, which will be the global using doc that we have extracted previously. So this would be global using dot ID, which doesn't exist and fills my heart with sadness. Is it not global using dot ID? But that's a document. It should. Okay, there it is. I may have had a typo. And the new root, our new global using root. And this should do the trick. I am not entirely certain.
Bit of confidence. Okay, but and else, then this happens.
Let's now back to you.
Oh, do I still have to do something other than write else? No. Do I even have to write else?
Maybe not.
Yes. Okay.
So if we don't find the document,
then
we want to edit anew. Yeah, it sounds like what we want to have.
All right. Okay, and I just need this, right?
Yeah.
No. Yeah. And you like my sound effects?
I do like the indentation sound effects. Yes. Speaking of sound effects, I think the last two episodes ago, you made a little dance, and I promised a dance that when everything works, but I didn't.
Yes.
I didn't do it.
Okay.
I set myself because I watched the recording afterwards. I set myself a reminder to actually, when we got everything working, there will be a dance, and I hit myself already. Okay, now this is how it usually happens when past Stefan and future Stefan, present Stefan, they don't work together. And now let's see if this test is passing. So this was this one, and it's not.
Failing.
Okay,
great.
But it is. It says here.
Okay.
No, it's the. Okay, we expected 4 documents, but actual 6 documents.
Okay, so we have the same as before.
This is not. Maybe
Okay.
let's build everything. Maybe there is some stale issues. The plugin, the extension we're using is still in preview, so maybe there is some update issues. Let's just run it again.
Yep. It's also on our Twitter, save and run again. Solves quite a lot of issues. And there's also this, do you know this meme where sort of like the definition of madness is trying the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome? And then, all the software testers or quality assurance department is like, has this sort of like side-eye meme. It's very funny. I'll post it on Twitter for everyone.
But we do still have the same issue. So I guess.
Yeah.
Did we make a mistake?
Looks like, yeah. What is?
Look correct though. If you don't mind, I will simplify this because then we fit it in one line.
Okay.
Because we can write document here, but if the compiler can infer generics, which in this case it can, because this is an enumerable of document, and if we want document, we don't have to explicitly state it because it's already document.
Yep.
So the
Fair
compiler
enough.
can infer the generic here. But it's actually so we don't we this is
Yeah.
the using replacement, and this is adding if we find it, and then we add the
N-
document. So it looks quite correct,
yeah.
to be
What is
frank.
this global using dot ID again?
So this is
Ah,
if
this
we
one, the output. Okay.
yes. So that's that's global using document that we find, or the document that we find that has the global using.cs name.
Okay. But we don't even do we just not find it? Do we just
Ooh,
leave it there?
yes. We don't find it because of no. Yes, because of the immutability. Yes, because we do add a document here, but we go into the project and try to find it, not via this new solution. So the project that we have here is still the old one, immutability.
Ah, nice. Okay.
So what we could do is if we now let's see if we this may not be the most performance solution, but we can always optimize performance later on. So let's try to get into the solution. Let's try to get a project. Can we try to get a let's try to get a project. There is a projects enumerable. Is there also a project get project method?
Yeah.
I would like that. And we get the project with that ID.
Nice.
And this returns null, unfortunately. For now, let's ignore that. Because, well, if it doesn't find this ID, then it will return null. But
Yeah.
are we certain that this exists? Yes, we are quite certain that this exists because we get in this project and from the project into the solution, and we don't have any code that deletes project. So I think we can safely ignore this warning here because we will have a document. And now we get into this modified solution, which means in the second one, we should actually get a hold of it. And now it looks promising.
Mm-hmm. Which one was it?
And jump to the test.
No.
Oh no.
Okay. No, don't despair. We'll figure it out.
This is a very interesting. So global. Yeah. Okay, it was
What
because of
is
a different
it?
issue. So it's now. Okay. Ooh, yes.
I don't get it.
So we expected this document, and we have this document. So now we don't have this warning or this error of creating too many documents. So we have exactly the same amount of documents that we expect. That's
Yeah.
fixed. But we have a bit of a difference. So what we expect is a global using file or document. I say it wrong myself. That contains global using system correction generic, but we actually get is one that has 1, 2,
2,
3. We have here the
3.
pluses, so we have 2
Nice.
additional ones created.
Okay.
Do you have an idea already? It feels like that you do. It sounds wrong.
No, I absolutely don't. But we'll figure it out. Okay, so right, we are already in the okay, so it's wait. Okay, so it already found the document
Mhm,
because it's already there. We've created it
mhm,
once. It's there. It found it. It goes inside,
mhm.
and then it adds the document. So actually, what we need to do is if we already have one added once and then don't do anything
If
ever
it's all
again.
yes, yeah, exactly. So if it's already, I guess so. If the using is already
Okay,
there,
I have
don't
an
add
idea.
it. Yeah,
So is this another if check within this if
yeah,
check? No.
yeah. It's okay. Yeah.
um, so okay, how do I get into that thingy? So that's is that global using?
So we get
Dot
so we have
no.
So we want to dive into the usings and check if these exist already.
Okay. Okay.
What we have is if we because we need to get the syntax root,
Yeah.
and then we basically what we have here unit dot usings.
Nice.
So maybe we can dig into these usings. So basically make the check here instead
Oh,
and
here.
see if it exists before we start adding and messing with that one.
Here, right? Is that right?
I would. This would be
No.
my first try here. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Choo, 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 choo.
Yeah, I do like the intention sounds. Is there a plugin for that?
Well, we can do it. Put it on our to-do list. Actually, that would be funny.
No, what a VS Code extension. So I put it on the list. VS Code extension that makes sounds when indenting.
Okay, so it's again. It's unit unit dot usings, and then something like contains.
And unit.usings is a syntax list. And this syntax list implements IEnumerable, which means we can again do some linkery on that.
But can we do the thing that Timo said here? The any?
That is yeah.
Nice.
That's the thing.
Any okay, now I have to sort of check what we sort of wrote before because I've again forgotten everything.
Without it was thank you very much for joining and thank you very much for helping us. Thank you very much for your input for live coding. Thank you for joining. Goodbye. See you next time.
What he said.
Let me do some auto completion or some assistant thing. So what we have is using directive syntaxes. So what we can now basically have is a lambda that takes in, I like to use static to avoid capturing. We have our using directive syntax. Okay, let's call it using directive. And now do the fat arrow. I'm not sure if that's the correct word. And now it seems to give it away already. Oh, does it? Well, at least that's on my end. Can I get rid of this?
Yeah.
Go away. Yes.
Come on.
Go away. There we go. So, your turn.
No. Oh
Because
man.
we need to check if the using directive.
Yeah.
Now, if we have any using directive that already
Yeah.
has this name, and we do something, we do the name checking already if in line 41. So this is where we can get inspired of.
41. Oh, so not using. Wait. Okay. What?
Because
Using
name is not
name.
name is not a string. Name
Got it.
is a using directive is a name syntax. So we need to stringify that.
To string and then is local using. Yeah.
Just add the braces here,
Oh.
and since we don't, what was it again? So equality is per default ordinal case sensitive. So this is exactly what we want. Perfect. So if we find any using,
then completely break.
Oh, sorry.
Right?
I made a mistake. We can't use static here because we need something from the context. We need to capture actually this your local using here. So we cannot use static here. I'll just get rid of the static. This will fix the issue.
Okay. Should I use here continue or just break or just goodbye?
Well, there is two. Either we do continue or we negate that one and move that code in here.
Yeah.
However you prefer, whatever you find more.
To what you said. Oh no. Oh, copy paste skills. Have your shots ready.
Aye.
Did I do it wrong?
Not yet.
Why?
No.
And then
I'll just get rid of this comment
right?
because that's no longer needed. So we now move. So if we don't have any that matches this name, then we create a new one. Yeah, it looks promising. On the tests. and expect this one to turn green in just, oi, another issue. We expected one document, but have two documents. That's a different test, isn't it? That's a different test. Yes. So this one turns green. Fantastic. Okay,
Perfect.
so on to
Easy.
the next one. Now we also fixed that one. We also fixed that one. We
Didn't
have,
fix
here we
this.
have one. So if we have aliases, did I say it right?
Yep. Well done.
If we have aliases, we don't want to globalize aliases. We only want to globalize using directives, and those are aliases, so we want to ignore these. And this now actually runs into ends up in the error of we expected one document, but we actually had two because this global using was created, but it shouldn't have been because we want to ignore aliases in our globalizer. And if you recall, we
Globalize.
did something very similar in our counter,
Mhm.
into our using counter 2.
Yes. I'm actually looking there right now, trying to see if I can find anything. But yeah. Okay. It's just an if check, right? So
I would assume so, yeah.
okay. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Um where are we actually? When they're using globalizers, yes, correct. Yes. And where is the actually first default? I'm just looking in the thingy because where do we need this if check is sort of what I'm looking at right now.
It would be cool to do it as early as possible so
As
that we
early as possible.
avoid any work that we don't need to do, that we would throw away, because we would
Here.
allocate stuff that we then throw away. Not the most magnificent on performance. A bit of a where's the book that I'm reading now? Okay, I have it in my backpack. The 1000-page .NET memory management book from Konrad Kokosa. Yeah, I'm getting now more greedy on getting everything of performance, I'm afraid.
Nice.
So do it as early as possible.
Good. So like here, for example.
I think it's too early. No, hold on. Yes, because we need to do it. We need to switch on the using. So we need to inspect the local using directive, or the using directive syntax, and see if that is an alias. I think there is an alias property on the using directive syntax to detect that. So I guess the earliest point would be here when we iterate through all the using directives in this document, and then check, is this an alias using? No.
Okay, so that's an if check.
That's all the weird
And
stuff.
we kind of did it as well just below because we have to go, because aliases obviously start with the word, have the word alias, right? No.
I think this is a Boolean property on the using directive syntax. Let's have a look. I think there is okay. So there is an alias. There's a name equals syntax on that, which is actually nullable. So it appears that checking this for null detects the availability, detects a kind, well, if it's an alias or not.
Okay, so using node dot alias. It actually pops up. Nice. If this is not null, then wait.
So if this is not null, that means it actually is an alias using. That looks fair.
No, like this.
I will hit save and run the test. Okay, when I click that button, it actually then runs this particular test. So that's cool. And it's turned green. Wonderful. That was the fix. Perfect. The next one is now with static using. So we also want to ignore static usings.
Okay.
This could be quite similar, I guess. Again, diving into the using directive syntax, there is a static keyword token, but that's a token. So this is not a class. This is actually a struct, a value type, I think. or is it? Yeah. So this we can't check this for now. So we need to do a different check on that, whether to detect if we have the static keyword set or not.
Okay, so like if
So we could now have a new if, or we basically or it here, whatever you
yeah,
how you prefer.
I preferred with or. But I have to do the or in here, right? Yes. Pipes.
Mhm.
And then maybe like this. Formatting you can do later.
Definitely.
um, okay, so we still need the using node, right? Okay,
Yep.
so I'm just gonna go there. Using node
And
dot
that has a static. That has some static something property.
static keyword,
Static
and
keyword. And
then
static keyword is a syntax token. And that's a struct. But we can check the kind of the
is
syntax token. I think
kind.
there is some is
Yeah.
kind. Yeah, that looks promising. That looks very promising.
Okay, and then
Now we can pass in. I guess now we can think. So what? So in which case do we want to continue? Do we want to check if this is the static, if it is the static keyword, or if it's not the none keyword, which is basically means no keyword. I guess there's no two ways how to write it. We check, is the static keyword indeed set to the static keyword, or is it set to the none kind? If you know what I mean.
yeah, so I suppose you say we could also like turn it around and then it will be easier, kind of thing, right?
Let's give it a try. I'm not certain what's more readable.
Okay, so if the static keyword is kind something like okay.
Does auto-completion work? Yeah.
Wait,
I
so
hope
okay,
auto-completion works.
what do we actually want? So if we have the static keyword, we want to continue or we don't want to continue?
So if we have the static keyword, we want to continue because we want to ignore static keywords. If there is a using directive which contains the static keyword.
Okay. Aha, now I get it. So if there's anything if the static keyword thing is anything, if there's anything, like if it's none, we're fine. If there's anything, we continue.
Yes.
Yes, I like it. But none doesn't probably exist. Is there like a
I think
static?
I think it does. So this is
Does it?
is kind now takes a syntax kind, I think. So it will be
Okay.
syntax kind dot none.
Syntax kind. Yes. Dot and
Or empty
do
or something. Let's check auto-completion.
ah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, okay. Sorry, I did not mean to.
New, not null name. What did you say? None.
Okay, I think I need to add this using here. Okay, now we go. Now you should have auto-completion.
Okay. None. Yes. Now I got it. Nice.
And I guess, okay, I think I was already thinking 2 steps ahead. So the alternative way of writing this would be we check whether this is the syntax kind static keyword.
Yeah.
So basically now, how do you prefer it? Writing, is it not none or is it static?
Okay. So I think it's nice sort of if we have the 3 cases and if I read through it and I see, okay, we're checking if it's this, we're checking if it's that, then I would be actually nice to see the static keyword, like that we're actually checking for static keyword. However, wait, because we do have like in German you would say, what is it, Wortwiederholung, which is also not very pretty, because we're using it static keyword twice, right? And also isn't it a little bit more thorough if because like they could change something that if you just I don't know.
Technically, but I would be technically yes, but I would be surprised if there is anything other than none or static keyword in the static keyword property. This looks like, well, it's technically possible, but it would look like a bug in the compiler if the static keyword would
Yeah,
be, I don't know, like
but what if we're
let's say
hacked?
a different a different keyword. Ooh,
What if
well,
somebody
ooh,
hacks into our
maybe
system and
maybe it is.
changes that?
You know what? Maybe this is very possible. I think it's sharplab.io
Security.
time, isn't it?
It
No,
is.
because what if I write this key? What if I write here, let's say int? Because okay, I could write static, static.system.console, but what if I use the int keyword instead? So is now I want to have a look at the C# at the syntax tree representation. So how does this look like? Is now the static keyword? No, it's not. Now this is something totally different. It's now a local variable statement. No, this is no longer using. Okay, so it doesn't sound that it's possible to actually
Okay.
have something that is not static in the static keyword property.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
so I guess it's safe to assume that
and which one do you prefer
it's
out
either
of the
static
two?
or none. I'm indifferent because I think the second one is more readable because we check is the static one static because it's a positive formulation.
Mm-hmm.
But previously we basically check is the alias not null. So we are now basically in the
Yeah.
negative context. So I would find it weird that if it's not null, but if it's yes that. So
Yeah.
I'm indifferent now to continue the not thingness
Yeah.
or to use the more positive formulation.
Negative formulation. We are negative
Then
today.
here it is. Negative
Here
we
it
are.
is. Okay,
And
let's
clicking the
see.
test, which should turn green in 6 seconds or something.
Countdown is on.
And it is.
Choo!
I think Visual Studio actually, and I can imagine there is a plugin for Visual Studio Code. Visual Studio has a feature that you can enable sound cues. If a test passes, if a test run passes, you can play a sound on Windows. And you can also run a sound if that passes, if the test fails. So they could actually
That's nice.
have
I know
sounds.
there's a plugin where where there's this like rainbow cat that's sort of like it's like a progress bar, but it's a rainbow cat.
Ah,
So like
that's in
while you're waiting for your test to be green, a rainbow
that
cat is running.
that's in Rider, the neon cat in Rider, isn't it?
Okay, maybe it's that. Could be. Sounds like it. I
Okay,
just
a
called
lot
it
of
rainbow cat.
a lot of
Great.
plugins for us to pimp our IDEs. Where the next test is red again because we also want to ignore global usings because
Oh,
there is no
okay.
point in globalizing global usings.
Fair enough. So we have another or, I suppose.
I suppose so too.
Pipes, pipes, pipes. And we probably, I mean, I think it's quite similar to like the one above, right? So
It would appear so. So let's have a look at the
using node
implementation. There is a global, yeah.
global keyword dot do we have is kind, and then we have syntax. What do we have? Kind again? No. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Dot. Oh, God. Okay. None.
Mm-hmm. I will hit save, click the button, and maybe it's just 5 seconds and it will turn green. I'm positive this turns out positive. Yes, it does indeed.
Perfect. After so much
And
negativity, it's good that we're positive.
to the next one, ignoring global generated code things. We actually now have 3 tests of ignoring generated things. So we have this on a project level. If we have so if we have it on an assembly level, which is in compiler lingo would be the compilation. So do we have to generate the code attribute on the compilation? Yes or no? If we have it, so if the compilation is auto-generated, we must continue. I think we already have an extension method for that on the compilation. So how do we get? No, we don't, because I think we have some Roslyn utilities
Yeah.
where we have is generated code, and we have 3 overloads for
Nice.
these, which will be those will be the 3 tests that we know adding logics to fix the 3 tests. Compilation, also on a document and syntax level. And how do we get the compilation?
We get the compilation.
Oh, it appears we already have it.
That's what I was about to say.
So maybe this is not the earliest convenience. This is not the earliest convenience. So I guess the earliest convenience would be actually outside of the method. Where do we get the compilation? Where do we get the compilation? It's oh no, hold on. No. I made a mistake. This is the compilation unit syntax. That's not the compilation. My bad. We don't get the compilation yet. And I think we get the compilation via the project. And I guess the earliest convenience would be like right in the beginning, because we do have the project here and there's nothing we need to do if there is any, if the project compilation is auto-generated.
Okay.
So I think we can ask the project to give us the compilation. If I recall correctly, I may not.
Okay. I'm trying to get to here. Yes. So what is that? Project dot compilation options. No.
There's a get compilation async method that looks promising.
Get compilation async. Nice.
And so this is now an async method. That means it's task returning. How do we get a hold of the result of this task?
Dot result.
Yes, we could do that.
Or we could await
this would be blocking. I think this is when we met like 2 years ago. This is like how how you got to know me.
But it's already it's literally the first thing.
Yeah. Hello, I'm Stefan. By the way, always await, never result. Okay, yeah, that sounds like me. You seem to have the same problem as I do, that it sometimes removes the thing that you wanted to write.
Yeah. It's already an async task up top, so like the return types.
We're an async method, so there is nothing we need to asyncify now. We can use the flow. So let's store this compilation in a local variable. And while that, I will write this.
But
I didn't. It also has this. Yeah, when I write var, I have the same thing. Really? Var should. Yeah, so it auto completes to this. Yeah. Well, it's still in a preview phase, so I guess the plugin isn't perfect yet.
Just compilate, or how do we call it?
Compilation.
Yeah.
Is generated code. Compilation. And the await has disappeared. I'll light it again. And okay. And now I guess we need to do that in an if check. And
what do we need to do in an if check?
Yeah, so don't basically abort if this is generated.
Okay. So let me. Okay. This one. Okay, so if, right, is generated, then
what do we do for the? Well, I think we actually expect this. The test doesn't expect it to crash, but actually to return something. So maybe it is, I guess, then I have lied to you. So the perfect opportunity is actually, let me move this up.
A lie.
Where we create this using, no, that's the using directive. I guess we also need that. But where do we create the result? Or will we create it within the result? There is the result. Where do we create the result? There it is. Oh, we created a new here. Okay, I guess I'll just move this return. Oh no, so that's fine. Okay, I revert what I did and basically just paste that code here, and we return the. What do we return if we haven't made any changes?
What?
Because now we haven't made any changes to the project.
Well, that is that possible? Because you have to obviously write globalize this using, right? And if we don't have that using, then it will just be like an error.
Yes, but in our case now, the entire project that we want to globalize in is auto-generated if we are here. And in that case, we don't do anything. We don't iterate the documents. There is nothing to create. And this object that we now have here, it's returning a project that we then later on in our actual tool
We could return like a you a robot button, because if it's
use.
no,
I didn't get that, I'm afraid.
we have an entire project that's auto-generated.
Yeah,
You asked me what we
the
could
robot.
return. We could be like, "Are you a robot? Is
So
this
like
happening?
a captcha.
Are you ChatGPT?" No,
Well,
bad joke. It's
in
already late. Friday night, actually. Party time. Woo! I thought it was funny. In my head, that would have been funny. Yeah. Okay.
So what do we return? Because what we do in order to globalize, we do return this, because we open a project, then when we globalize, we get the result, and this result has the new project. So we use the new project in order to apply changes.
But then if
So I guess we could either return the same project, which indicates we basically haven't really made changes. It's just the same again. I'm wondering if if apply changes basically earlies out if it
what did we
detects that there
do?
are no changes.
What do we do with the counter?
Well,
Because
but the counter doesn't return
it
a
should
project. Sorry?
be exactly the same. Do we have a test about like what if the entire file is the entire project is auto-generated?
Yes,
And
we do. And in that case, generated, we expect to get an empty result. So nothing happened. I
okay,
guess
so we
then
just return the project that
the original,
they gave us. Yeah.
that sounds like it. And this should work as intended. And this should at least turn the test screen.
Nice.
That's not the wrong
That's
test.
the most
so
important thing.
I agree. Maybe it's a little smaller.
Nice.
Yes.
Good
And
stuff.
it does turn green. On to the next one. If a document is auto-generated. So now going back to the globalizer, we already go through the document. So each document that is auto-generated, we don't want to continue with.
Where do we go to the documents? Here.
Yes,
for each
exactly.
document. Okay, right at the top, right? If
this would be the earliest possible check, yeah.
Okay, and then we have the Roslyn utilities is generated code, but then we don't have a compilation. We just have the document, right?
We do have an overload. We do have an overload for that already. And this is not the one that checks for the if the document ends or starts with a specific file name.
And then what do we do? Continue? Or do we also have to?
Let's continue, because it could be that other documents are not auto-generated.
Nice.
I will hit save. I will hit the button and see this turn green. This will turn green. It did not turn green because I may have made okay. So the close that. So one of our files did not match. So it seems that we expected something that is not available in the test. So this file 6 actually got here's my mistake. This was a mistake from my side, because here we also include a document that is not auto-generated. File 6. There is no g.cs, there is no ending, no beginning of temporary or something. So this is not an auto-generated file. And we now expect this file to be replaced. So the mistake I made is
having an unexpected
project,
right?
Because we
actually
it should be gone. So this needs to be an empty string here.
Okay.
because we actually do globalize that. Yes, and I think is that
I actually have a question because
that's
does
a
the file
name.
then exist and is empty, or should it be?
It it
No,
still
it's not empty
exists.
because obviously there could be other code in it. Yes, I
There
got it.
could be other code in there. Well, we could have. I wouldn't in a future version of the tool. You know what? We will create an issue
But
for that.
it doesn't really like you
To
wouldn't have just a file just with like a normal local using and then no code. It wouldn't make any sense.
so basically, if the so did I understand you correctly? So if we
Yes.
have our globalizer, let's say we have
Yes.
something this, and this is only a system using, and this is now gone. And if there is only trivia left in the document, so let's say, well, there could be spaces and something, but there is
Mm.
nothing else other than trivia in this document, then we should delete it. Did I get you right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll create myself I will then later on create a GitHub
But I
issue.
think
If
it's a big edge case though, but it might be interesting for like
mm,
future features
if
of the tool because like yeah, if you
mm,
just have a local using, doesn't make any sense.
if so, we delete the document if empty or it contains only trivia,
Trivia.
only white space trivia. Because what if there is, I don't know, a comment? Do we then still want to delete that file?
No.
Information would get lost. But if it's
Yeah.
like only white space information,
Yeah.
then we want to delete that file. Okay. And I agree what you said. This is quite an edge case.
Yeah.
Yeah. But possible. It
But
would be a nice addition to the tool.
sure.
And actually, I think I can simplify the test because we expect the document name here. I made this unnecessarily complicated and say we expect now a new, that's the default document name global using.cs, which now has globalized this into here and remained that empty. And this was totally on me, and it should turn green now. I hope. Yes.
Nice.
Okay. Then I think we have one more comment thing about this. This is now on the syntax level where we check the comments. If there is any auto-generated comment, and I think let me first fix the test because I have the feeling I made this wrong as well. This is auto-generated, this is auto-generated, this is auto-generated, this is auto-generated. This does not start with the less than sign here. So this one actually is not auto-generated. We want to replace that, and this one as well. This is not, well, it says auto-generated, but it doesn't have this token here. Or otherwise, for example, if we would in here, what we now fixed, if we would make this uppercase, it says auto-generated, but should not be detected as auto-generated. So the last two documents actually should be replaced. Let's see if I this time got the test right. It appears so. The last two actually now have this node removed and the new document still created. So the test looks all right. Now we need to ignore those. This is now on a syntax level. I think this is on the compilation. I think let's see where we have an overload. We have an overload on the compilation unit syntax to check if that contains any auto-generated trivia.
Can I just add
single
another
line or
O
more
here?
Not here yet because we don't have the compilation unit syntax yet, but we do get the compilation unit syntax in line 37.
Hello.
So I would go here. This would be the earliest convenience, the earliest possibility to check for that.
Okay. So, but we can still do like the Roslyn utilities. Dot is generated code, and you said just a compilation unit variable, right?
Yeah.
Compilation.
This is why we moved this is auto-generated code to a separate method, to a separate type, because we will use this in pretty much every tool that we build, because we shouldn't mess with auto-generated content.
Nice.
I'll click save, click the button. I am 99% confident it's getting green. Oh, yeah. Now that's embarrassing. 99%. Auto-generated. We remove the auto-generate. Ooh. What we do here is we removed the auto-generated comment. So actually we did now, if we have sharplab.io, where are you? Here you are. If we would have like, let's create something which is not auto-generated, like make wrong capitalization auto-generated. This is this is not auto-generated using system. So what we did is remove all. We left an empty document. But what we said earlier, we don't want to remove, we only want to remove white spaces and such. We don't want to remove that. We don't want to remove the comment, which is a trivia. And it's actually cool that this test is failing, because there is, and I have this déjà vu, when we remove the node, I'm in the wrong document. There we are. Notice the tests. Oh, I left 12 here. There it is. When we remove the node here, I have set the syntax remove options to keep no trivia. Okay, I guess this is too aggressive. What other options do we have? We could keep leading trivia, we could keep trailing trivia, we could keep exterior trivia. Exterior trivia is leading and trailing trivia associated with the node. Okay, so this looks promising. What else do we have? Using directives that would become unbalanced are kept. I don't know what that means. Does this mean if they are no longer used? Hoi. We could keep directives, but we're actually removing a directive, so I guess we don't. Keep end of line, elastic marker, I don't know what that is. So for now, use the keep exterior trivia, and
99.5 content.
I totally did not think about the trivia. That
now
now
still
we have
not enough
okay.
confidence.
Now we have an additional new line that we did not expect. Or did we?
Yeah.
What did we? I think this is actually okay. This is now, I think, about new line. Do we want a new line or not? I think this is now. This may get esoteric.
Nice.
But I think
get my crystals. Can ask the pendulum.
We don't have a new line here. So should it actually be deleted? Yes, maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
Is there another option here? Well, we don't say keep end of line. Is this may be the trailing trivia? So what if we only keep the leading trivia?
Okay. What's your confidence level?
2.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Now we still have this additional new line.
Okay.
That we keep. Well, we could. Do we want that, or do we want to? But maybe it's. Well, this may also be super nitpicky. I'm not so super familiar with the trivia thing, so I guess I'll keep that as a to-do, and we'll follow up on the next stream. Because also in the respect of time, I would like to get the other test screen, because we're a little bit in the flow, and I'll deal with trivia. We'll deal with trivia next time, if you don't mind. Okay, so let's. Should we skip that? Now let's add a to-do. To-do. How do we deal with trivia? In this case, for episode 11, that will be cool. Because the next test now should throw an invalid operation exception.
Yeah.
If there is any errors in the compilation. We already get the compilation. So we may already have everything in place that we need. So check the compilation. If the compilation contains any errors, we throw an invalid operation exception.
All right.
And we also did this in the using counter, so we may get quite inspired by that.
Is that like such a thing as wait, um, no errors? Like
Not really,
fully?
no, because what we would need to do is we we need the compilation. We do get the
Okay.
compilation right, so we do have the compilation. We can ask the compilation if it has any. We can get the diagnostics of this
Ah,
compilation, and then check if any of these diagnostics. We could say like any of these diagnostics has the severity of error. So
nice.
if we have any error, but we already wrote this code somewhere. I don't want to write it again. I think we have a method for that, and I would like to reuse that. Maybe I just search for the severity thing. We definitely have this somewhere already. Okay, yes, we utility. So we have utilities diagnostics. We actually put this into a nice method. We have throw if contains error. So we can call
Ah,
Waslin utilities throw if contains error on the compilation unit syntax. We actually do this on the compilation unit syntax, not on the compilation
compilation.
itself. Okay, but we do get the compilation unit syntax too, so we can use that.
Okay. So
So this will be not here actually, but compilation unit syntax there basically. So we could ask what. Oh wait, I forgot the name.
yeah, me too.
Waslin utilities throw if contains
Contains
errors,
error.
and then we pass in the compilation unit,
Okay. Easy.
and this should turn the screen.
Okay, how confident are
And
you? 90%? Yes.
100.
Ah,
I
no.
don't trust myself anymore.
Nice.
The next one is cancellation. We want to support cancellation. Can we recall how we did do this last time? As a bit of a hint, we already get some warnings and such.
Ooh, can we just do the quick fixes and then do whatever it suggests? No. Okay.
You know
I
what?
will.
You know what? It's actually the go-to. Do you see the light bulbs on your end via live share? I don't think you do, right?
I don't see any light bulbs. What?
Hmm.
No. Wait, if I click it myself, I see it, but I don't see it if you click it. So it's pretty good.
So do you see this quick fix here on your end?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, yes. But I think this doesn't fix the test yet. I have a déjà vu. This didn't suffice for us the last time. Because we are, yes, so it's no exception is thrown because we are not really on disk. We are all of our tests, all of our code is in memory because we use the ad hoc workspace and everything is in memory, which means it is quite likely that this get syntax root method that we are forwarding this cancellation token to is completing synchronously. And if it's actually completing synchronously, then the cancellation token will not be inspected, only if there is actually some asynchrony going on. So I think what we could do, we now should find somewhere a place where we could like iterate, because now we need to check if this cancellation token has been invoked. And we can throw if the cancellation has been requested. The question is where we do this. We could do this at the beginning, we could do this at the end, or we could do this in a loop where which we call multiple times. So we check multiple times frequently because the user could call while the command line is running. Maybe it's a huge project, and maybe this project has 5 million documents. Then checking it just at the beginning or just at the end, it doesn't really make this operation cancelable. So we should frequently check. And where would you say is a good loop where we could repeatedly check if the cancellation has been requested? Where would you
Where's the
put
good
that?
loop? Top of the file, even before the usings. No. Earliest. Where's the earliest place? So what do we need in order to loop?
We need the
Syntax
cancel.
root. No.
Excuse me.
What do we?
Excuse me.
Yeah. What do we loop through again? Sorry.
I guess so. It's either when we go through the documents. So we
Yeah.
could check for every document that we analyze, or we check. Here's another loop. We check for every using. But we may not come to the using because maybe we understand that this document is auto-generated.
Yeah.
And then end here. So
Yeah. Let's check for the documents.
think I would do it like in the first line of the loop when we go through the documents. And I think actually, you know what? We already thought about this. I would do it similarly as we did in the counter. To be fair, to give a similar experience. And in the counter, we do that. We do that at the end of the documents loop, just before we call into this aggregate using. So in our case, this would be at the end of the document before we call into the globalization. So it would be in line 43. And do you remember
43.
how we? And
Yes.
I'm basically
I just
hinting
saw
it
it, right?
already. Oh yeah. I was about to say, do you know how do we throw if cancellation has been requested?
Nice.
And this is one of the method names that I really, really love because it you get exactly what it says on the tin. It throws if cancellation requested.
Nice.
And this should turn this one green. So we also support. No. Okay. So what's wrong? We have an invalid cast exception. That is very interesting. Unable to cast object because I think I ran the wrong. Yeah, I ran the wrong test. That's embarrassing. I ran the wrong test. There we go.
100%.
So already,
nice. Good stuff.
I already give it away. If we pass something Visual Basic key, we get an invalid cast exception because we try to cast it in a C# into C# syntax nodes, which don't exist with Visual Basic land, of course, because those are Visual Basic based syntax nodes. So we want to throw an invalid operation exception if we are in Visual Basic land. And I have the feeling we already have a method for that.
Yeah. And but this time we can do it like right at the top, right?
I guess so. I'm not sure anymore how we have this. Do we have this also on this WASLand utilities type?
Yes, I think so.
Let's do another throw if.
Throw if not C#.
Throw if not C#. That sounds perfect. What does throw if not C# take? It takes a project, and this is the very first parameter that we get in. Yes, top of the method is excellent. Nice. Wonderful. And this should turn it green. And then we have 2 more tests. Almost there. Almost, yeah. Turns green. Almost there. Now, yes. Because global using directives is a feature that is supported. That's global using directive is a feature that has been added in C# 10, which means if we try to introduce global using declarations in a version, in a project that is compiled with C# 9 or lower, we would produce code that doesn't compile. So now I thought that our tool should throw an exception and say, no, we do not support this language version. Well, we can count the usings. This works fine, but we can't. You must turn this into a C# 10 or higher project if you want the globalizer to work, because I don't really want to create. I don't feel like it's a good idea to create code that doesn't compile. Seems like a not experience.
I agree. How do we get there?
We do not have that yet. How do we get the language version?
Yeah.
Is that on the project? The project has maybe a bit of let's approach it from the other side, because in our tests we do create C# code and such. And what we do in order to set the language version, we can create parse options. And to the parse options, we can pass a language version. So, and we pass that to a project. We create here a project builder. So the project should have parse options that contain the language version. And I guess this is now the way to go. What I thought about is that we create an overload of this throw, if not C#,
Yeah.
where we pass in the language version and basically do, this should be the least version.
I can do it.
And
If
yes,
if language version is no.
So this is basically the language version that we check. So we will be
Yeah.
passing here in our caller. We'll be passing in here because we require at least C#10. So let's pass in C#10. This is the minimum version that we require. So we need now to get us the project for the.
I have it. No, I don't have it.
For the parse options. Does the project have parse options?
Does the project have parse options? Project parse options. Yes.
The thing now is those parse options are general parse options. From that, we don't really know if those are C# parse options or if they are Visual Basic.
Well, we
Parse
do
options.
though if we write this check after the thingy check, after the throw if not C# check.
You know what? That is a perfect idea. That is absolutely correct. Yes. So we could from this method invoke that method, and then we know if this method passes,
Yes.
we know we're in C# land. Yeah, that's wonderful.
Okay. So do I still can I just at the top here just say throw if not C#, or do I still have to go Russell utilities?
No, we can
No.
because we are already in the context of this class. You see here because we are in the
okay,
the scope.
still.
In the scope of this class. Well, we could, but it's redundant.
Project. And then
Wonderful.
okay, and then these.
So we can now cast these safely. I'll do that. Well, do you remember how to cast a type into an to downcast in a type hierarchy, because the C# parse options derive from parse options. Do you remember how to downcast?
Isn't it just like writing in brackets before what you wanted to be?
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Easy. But what do I want to downcast it to?
Cast the parse options into C# parse options.
C#. Parse options. Yes. Okay.
Cool. Now we need to ask these. I will just put these into a variable. So let's call this parse options. Now we need to ask these parse options if they have a language version less than or equal to the one that less than the one that we request, and if it is, then crash dramatically. Or we say the other way around, if it's not the one or above, how you prefer to form it.
Less
because
than
language version is an enum, and it has all the language versions.
Okay. What does that mean though?
Because it means because an enum is basically what we learned at the beginning of the session is basically if nothing says is at the end, it implicitly means it's an integer. That means we have all of the integer operations at our hand. So we could use equality, we could use greater than and less than, and so on and so forth.
That's good because it's also it is. So we want. Okay, wait. If it is okay, what do I want? If it's less than C#10, right?
Right? If it's less than the version that we pass, yeah. Well, in our case, C#10, yes.
Less than version that we pass, so just a language version. Then
I think our test expects a invalid operation exception.
Throw new invalid Invalid operation exception. Why does it not like me?
Because when we
Any
invoke a
expression?
constructor is very similar. It's basically a special method. And when we want to invoke a method, exactly, we need the braces, the parentheses. And
What's
I'll
this?
add,
The message.
I'll just add a brief message where we say the language version parse options.language is not supported. Upgrade to the one that is requested or greater.
Nice.
So that we get an according message, and something has failed here. I'll just click it away.
Nice.
Should turn green.
90% sure.
Good confidence. Good. 95.
Okay.
Green.
Yes. That was intense.
And we have the final test is green. If we have an existing file, we already fixed this interestingly. Okay, if we have an existing file, we just append to that one. So we already have a globalUsing.cs. We say, okay, this one is called globalUsing.cs, and we then just append that system link that we want to globalize. So our globalizer is complete. Our first version of the globalizer is complete. I guess it's now time to give it a test run. What do we want to say? And also, because now this, there's one last step. Now connect the dots, because this is what we built last time. We have also built some command line pausing. Well, this is not ideal. We will be using very likely next session, but let's talk about this. We will change this now. Let's come to the core. If we invoke the globalizer, then we still need to parse the cancellation token. Do we do that already? I'm not certain. Yes, we do. Okay, so cancellation is supported. So everything is great. Now, actually, we can now run this on our project. And our project is a netcore project. Language version is, let's give it a try. I'll set it to 9. And we have here, okay, this won't compile anymore because this is not supported. I'll just comment it out. Because C# 9 doesn't support file scope to namespaces yet. And now now we should actually get an error saying, oh, I was about to say Obacht. Attention, something is wrong. I think I still have the command here. So we invoke the using command. We say globalize or system usings on this very project. And okay, we still have a couple of warnings, and it says in the operation exception, language version C# 9 is not supported. Upgrade to C# 10 or greater. Now let's do that. I'll bring these all back. Upgrade to C# 10 or greater. That is 11. Okay, that's cool. Now if we run it, and while running, I hit Control Z to cancel the operation. It says operation canceled. That works as well. It's very amazing. And now let's not cancel it and see what's happening. And we have 6 occurrences of using directive system were globalized into the global using CS. And let's confirm that this is true. We have, they're gone. So in all of the files, actually, you know what? Let's go to the GitHub desktop tool, because there we see the diff. It is removed from all of the documents, and there is now only one global using.
Nice.
And you know what? Last time we also had the issue that we added this compile include.
What?
Yes. Okay. I think I know. What if I delete this file? Because if I delete the global usings file, because it seems that we already had that previously, and I revert the change, and run this tool again, what tool will create is in the CS project a compile include. What I mean is that, so we have now a CS purge where we create this compile include, and this is not necessary in SD. This is what we iterated on in the beginning of the episode, because in SDK style projects, implicitly every CS file is already compile included. So we don't need to explicitly declare that. But our project, well, this is actually what this MS build workspace that we are using is doing. There is actually an open bug. We had a look at this 2 episodes ago, or maybe 3. There's an open bug in the GitHub repo, which has not been, well, it has been fixed in the MS build tooling, but it hasn't been fixed in the Roslyn tooling that we use. I guess this we could. I'm uncertain how to fix that. Basically, what we want to do is not modify the CS project document. I guess this will be a to-do for next episode. Let's write that down. Where do we write that down? Because what else are we going to do next episode? I think we're on the lookout phase now.
Yeah.
We want to. So what we have is is what I alluded to earlier. We have a bit of command line parsing here, but this is very naive. We do some list. We'll use C#11 here. Well, that I like that, but it's not ideal. We do some pattern matching here and check, does it say using count or does it say using globalize? And there is a better way and a more, better is a wrong word, but a more application framework key way. And we would like to use a library called system.command line, which I haven't used yet. I will, until the next episode, we'll take a look at this. We will take a look at this and then integrate that into our application, where we can set, this is then a bit nicer because we can set options. We can give those options names. The cool thing is we can add descriptions, which means if we then get automatically the --help or -h, or I think on Windows it's like /?, some sort of help pages or manual pages. We get that for free basically. And we can easily then, or this is more of a structured way how we can programming model for command line applications called system.command lines. This is currently a NuGet package, and I think this is actually intended to bring to the to inbox that into .NET. If you have a look at sites of .NET, there are the API reviews. Those are happening twice per week. And there is for .NET 8, they plan to bring in the system.command line inbox of .NET. So one of the core libraries then will include that, I think, if I got that correctly. So this will become more of an integrated thing in .NET 8. For now, we will consume it as a library. And yes.
Sounds like a plan.
And I would like to use that. So next episode, we will have, I think we have 3 to-dos. We will fix that bug.
Yep.
To do, fix, or do not modify CS purge.
Yep.
SDK style CS purge.
The other you need to get the test screen.
Yes, to do, the one test, the trivia thing. We need to figure out the trivia thing. And the third one then will be to do, use system.command line instead. And I think this will be a nice 11th episode. And then after that, in the 12th episode, we will be releasing that as a NuGet package for the world to consume, which sounds scary. Well, for us to get some real feedback, I guess.
And also, you also skipped the very important to do for next week, because next time, because we also want to see your dance.
Oh,
That's also
I
to
still
do.
okay.
Because yeah,
So
I remember now because I had my dance when we finished the counter, and you said you'd have it when we finished the globalizer.
so you're letting me off the hook this time because the globalizer is not.
Finished because one test is still red, so
Yeah. Okay.
that
So when
saved
this
you.
test is
That's
green,
why you wanted to skip it. Like, admit it.
thank you for granting me. Is that leeway? Okay. So that's where's the test? Why is so what I want to jump to the test, not where it fails. Can I go to test? Oh, okay,
Nice,
okay, okay.
easy,
Um, to do Stefan dance,
nice,
and I hit save.
perfect. Now I'm happy.
I will I will commit that
Good.
this will be pushed into the branch for
I
prosperity.
hope so. Perfect.
Yeah, I will send you the link. This will be
I'll check
pushed.
it.
Ye- Yes, you do.
um, cool. So we've got a plan for next time. I think it's a great plan. And the next couple of episodes, actually, I'm really looking forward to because this is sort of where it gets super, super exciting. I'm a bit nervous, but it's good. Good nervousness. Not nervous, excited. But speaking of next time, when is our next time?
Yes, it will be in 1.5 weeks on well, 1.5 weekish uh, on Wednesday, the 28th, at the same time, 1700 UTC.
Same time, same place. So yeah, it's almost 1.5 weekish, as you say. But if you crave content until then, we have a couple of recommendations as always. Um, this is .NET 5, 6, and 7 for busy developers. So I suppose this is it is a completely online the event, right? Yeah. Um, and yeah, I suppose they just talk about the most important things a .NET developer should know about the newest versions of this network. Sounds really interesting. So go check that out.
Posted the link in the chat.
Okay, this is the next one is a hybrid thing, so you can be there in person or you can join online. I think that means right? No.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this will be in Nottingham. Nottingham?
Yeah.
Nottingham, yeah. But I also
Nice.
I'm gonna watch it online. And about if are we doing SAML the right way, which is about WPF, Maui. I'm now can't think of all of the others. Xamarin, they all use SAML to declare the UI. And I guess there will be maybe some pitfalls and takeaways to improve our SAML-based applications.
Nice. And
Ooh, UWP. Shahab tells us also UWP. I always forget about UWP, the Universal Windows Platform. I always forget about it. I think I never wrote anything in UWP. I think this is why I keep forgetting about it. Thank you.
okay, and was retargeting an ASP.NET Web Forms application on .NET. That's also, I think, a hybrid, right? No, it's fully
Yeah,
remote.
yeah,
It
yeah,
says
yeah,
it
yeah,
right at
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
beginning.
No, it's also we also have a I say we because I do co-organize that one. I'm afraid
Okay,
I can't make it this time. It's a bit painful. Also, we are in person as well in Vienna, but I do share the online link, and we will learn how to upgrade in ASP.NET Web Forms. This is still the older .NET Framework Windows only world. How to modernize this into modern cross-platform .NET applications. Is Web Forms is not SAML based, right? No, this is like similar to WinForms. I've never used Web Forms either. I think this is like is this like the WinForms for web? I think I may embarrass myself now. Let me Google that. Web Forms. What is Web Forms? Does it say WinForms? Is there an example? Nah, I stop embarrassing myself. So
well, you can always, go to the meetup, find out for yourselves if you're interested. I'm gonna try and be there, but I'm also like, yeah, it could be that I won't make it, but maybe I can make it like remotely, and then I can definitely ask that question and get back to you next time.
Appreciate it.
But yeah, and also if you want to sort of, keep in touch, if you want to have
Oh,
suggestions
yes.
about content, if you just want to follow us and see what's going on, then please don't forget to follow us on Twitter or on LinkedIn or wherever you like. We always really like, we really appreciate when you guys interact with us. It sort of, honestly makes our week when that happens. So yeah, please, if you have any suggestions, if you like the content, just give us a follow.
Can we launch a poll? Do we have something pollable for next time? Did we have somewhere some question that we
Could be the question to
could
what kind
be?
of music you should have you dance next time. We could have a poll
We
for that, like a couple of
haha,
suggestions.
haha. Yeah, music will be troublesome. We can't stream that because of the DCMA thing. So I saved myself there, I guess. It's a cheesy excuse, isn't it? But yeah.
Fair enough. I don't think we have any other polls for next time. I can't think of any, but if
Maybe
they
we
are
can.
any,
Maybe we'll follow up on that and
yeah, we'll
post
follow
that
up
then
on that.
through LinkedIn and Twitter and also Mastodon. I haven't really added the links to Mastodon in now, but yet another to do. Okay, we have many to dos, but okay.
Nice.
I guess those 10 days for next stream they will pass quickly.
Yep.
And I believe, oops, wrong window. There we go.
Yeah.
This is what I wanted to click. Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for watching. We always appreciate you joining us live. And also thank you for watching, obviously, for everybody who watches this tomorrow or some other time. And just, have a lovely weekend and see you next time.
We'll be back